This is Queen Leanna, and we're back for part two, Jazz and the Voice of Reason. And I have Edward Washington here with me, and I have Daniel Hoyte. And we were in the middle of a serious conversation.
200,000 programmers, about that number, probably have the skills to write good error-correcting code.
Okay.
But wait, as a commercial would say, there's more.
Okay.
Because our DNA code is not only error checking. I actually misspoke previously. It's error correcting.
Correct. Okay.
Meaning that our DNA is coded in such a way that it can figure out, for the most part, what the wrong bits are in the code, pull those wrong bits out, and put in the right bit.
No machine does this. Nature does this.
We have computers that can do that, but here's the point. To my knowledge, there's probably less than 100 programmers that can write good error-correcting code.
Okay.
And yet our DNA does that. All by itself.
All by itself. That's just amazing.
That is.
You know?
Yeah, the body is
mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And you know, we're talking about, you know, quantum mechanics kind of from a black perspective, and kind of the reality of quantum mechanics is math. It don't care about how much melanin we have.
Mm-hmm. What race you are.
You could
color
be plaid.
Your skin. Yeah, and you're still going to be human.
It's math.
Yes.
Quantum mechanics is math.
Like music and everything else.
Yeah, 2 + 2 is going to remain 4 tomorrow, no matter what color I happen to be.
Right, that's correct.
But what's more important is our individuality as we interface with the reality that's around us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I want to take you on a little journey of just how special you are.
I love to go.
And I'm betting most people have never thought about it this way. Our DNA is made up of 26 chromosomes. Okay. If you were to take a strand of your DNA, pull it out of the cell, and unwind it, it would be several meters long. There is enough data in your DNA right now to actually fill up a small library.
In a cell.
And remember, it's duplicated in every cell of your body.
Yes.
Except for the red blood cells, which don't carry a nucleus, but they still carry DNA strands. I want you to consider this. All of those millions of bits of information. And I'm going to pose a question to you. How long do you think it would take for the universe to randomly create someone genetically identical to you? Just random chances, shuffling the deck.
Trillions of years.
The correct answer is, assuming the universe took one try every second, the universe has not existed long enough to create a Queen Leanna.
Get out of here.
And imagine this. This has happened, if you take the entire history of the human population, over 8 billion times.
So that makes you wonder what? You wonder what?
Well, it makes me wonder the purpose. Now, I happen to be a man of the book.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of the book.
And so, you know, I believe that the purpose is that, you know, when this universe was created, it was created for the purpose of God to share his love.
That's what I wanted to say. Love, 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 love.
And what makes it so amazing is that if you understand God, the God of the Bible,
yes,
he doesn't need love. He's self-contained.
He wants us to understand and share love.
He doesn't need companionship. He's self-contained. He doesn't need anything. And yet, in eternity past, this being that we call God decided that he wanted to demonstrate love.
Yes.
And so he made us.
He made us. And we're co-creators.
As a matter of fact, the first command given in the Bible is tend to my creation. Mm-hmm. Tend to the garden. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why are we unique? Because God's creative. And personally, I believe that God enjoys showing off.
Yeah,
Through us.
that's
Yes.
100%. Out of almost 8 billion people on the planet, and no two people had the same fingerprint.
No two people.
Yeah,
I mean,
No.
you might
everybody
find
is
somebody,
unique. You may have a
Everyone.
twin that looks like you
It's
identically,
still
but just
something different.
genetically, you just completely different.
Yes.
Nobody has the same fingerprint. You know, everybody has hands, and nobody has it. Like, that's just powerful.
And
That just tells you, and I mean, that's just one thing. There could be
There's so many
like different
grains
things that
of
make
sand
you
or
different.
Snowflakes. None of those
That's
are
why
the
it's so
same.
important to protect your individuality.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, and really understand who you are. Love yourself. Like I tell my kids that, like, make sure when you wake up in the morning, you tell yourself, look in the mirror and say you love yourself. 'Cause that's important. You know, you got to understand who you are when no one else is there.
No one else. That's
and
right.
you have to
because
love that.
you have to have
'Cause you
confidence
came in with
in
that.
who you are, and like you say, love yourself and understand that we are co-creators, and that if you wake up in the morning with those qualities of compassion, joy, gratitude, happiness, connected with your desires, positive thought, they're going to manifest.
Yeah.
They're going to manifest.
Yeah, 100%.
You imagine what it is that you want to create. If it's a house, if it's a marriage, if it's a plant in the yard. Think about how you'll feel if you had it already. Not, oh, I feel bad because I have to do this and have to. Don't worry about how you just plant the seed. Just like you plant a rose seed, an apple tree seed.
Yeah.
You put it in the soil, you make
Yeah.
sure you water it, it gets the proper sunshine. You
And
do the
it'll
same
grow.
with your desires and your
Yeah.
prayers. You don't go dig the dirt up to see
Yeah.
when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. It
Yeah.
will happen if
Yeah.
you have the faith.
Yeah.
That's what that unseen faith is.
Yeah, I say that all the time. I mean, I say when you step out into the world and just look around, everything you're looking at was at one point in time, it was just
Wasn't there.
a manifestation in somebody's mind. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to create the clock.
Yes.
These chairs we're sitting on, the microphone that we're speaking out
Amen.
of,
Amen.
before it was anything, it was here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So somebody was powerful enough to say, I'm going to bring that vision that's in my mind into reality.
And think
And that's
about
how powerful we really are. You
That's
know, and a lot
right.
of times we downplay the power of the human being. We're very powerful.
You just don't let the ego get in place where
Right.
you're thinking that you all powerful.
Right.
And disrespect the other human
Yeah.
being
Well,
that's
that's the-
different and you might not understand,
Yeah.
but you still respect them
Yeah.
and love them and wish them well.
Mm-hmm.
But say you want to create a building, what does it take, the architect? What is the first discipline he has to learn?
Imagination.
Imagination, and then what? Math?
Then math.
Yeah.
Everything takes
little bit of
math.
But you're
Structural
born with the
science.
imagination.
Yes,
You know, and then
yes.
as you grow and go through society, little by little, unless you have someone strong behind you that's guiding you in the right direction, that
Yes.
gets stripped away.
Yes.
And then you
Yes.
get reduced down to this, I'm just like everybody else.
Well-
I'm no different than this person. I'm no different, but you are very much different, you
Yes.
know?
Right.
Yeah.
If your ego gets too big, you have to
Right.
learn how to humble yourself.
Yeah,
And
and that's
once
where
you
the
can
war
do-
against good versus evil comes in,
Right.
because people realize how powerful they really are, and then they use it for the wrong thing. And some people
That's right.
take that same power and they use it for greatness. You know, some
That's-
people lead with love, other people lead with hate.
With
You know,
negativity.
and it's like you almost can't have one without the other, because
Yin
that's
and yang.
balance.
That's the way he
Yeah,
created the universe.
Yeah.
Day and night.
Positive and negative. You need
That's
both
correct.
for a battery.
That's correct.
Male and female.
Yeah.
To create another human being.
Yeah.
Positive and negative
Yeah.
energies. And it's back to the energies of positive energy and negative energy. And that's what we have to learn on this planet, because I believe that the more powerful your energy is, the more you're bright, your light shines. And I believe that solar eclipse that we had, that is waking up a lot of souls, a lot of people looking up at the sky to see how beautiful and magnificent this creation is. If you watch some of the people in Mexico and some of the countries where it was total eclipse, you could hear the oohs and ahs of the people looking up in the sky. Just ooh, ah. I mean, they were crying. Some of the news anchor people had tears running down their face trying to describe what the feeling was like. And that is what our love is like. If you uplift your frequencies, your energy, you could walk in a room and you can uplift negativity without saying a word.
The only thing stronger than hate is love.
That's right. And that's what we're going to need it, because I don't like to talk about wars, but it's a lot going on the earth now with Israel, and now Iran might get involved, and that's a whole nother topic. But we need to turn our lights on and just uplift energy, so we're loving. This planet has to love to succeed, to survive. Or there'll be another
flood. And like you said, the more we wake up is more about, less about right or wrong and more about understanding. And the more you understand, the less you fear.
Right.
Because you understand fear is a negative, and we are being controlled
by
all
fear.
Around the world by fear, which is keeping us down, in the corner, seeing things that are not right and saying, oh man, that's bad, that's crazy.
Right.
But not stepping up and doing anything about it because everybody's scared to die.
Yeah. And
and the thing is, I a good older friend of mine, because I grew up and I always aligned myself with elders because I was always hungry for information. So I always align myself with elders, as you can see, because that's where the wisdom comes from. And there's a major disconnect between the youth and the elders, which is why so much chaos is going on in the world in the first place, because you got the youth running wild. They're getting their influence and information from all the wrong places. And they're like, oh, they're old. They don't know what they're talking about. It's different now. It's but you have to connect with the people that came before you so you can get understanding.
And wisdom.
And that's why I love history so much, because you have to go back as far as you possibly can in order to understand what you're looking at and dealing with today.
So you know what directions you're going to go in the future.
Exactly.
Because you'll know the results. If I go down A Street, there's a bump in the road and a ditch there and the potholes and, whatever. But if I go down B Street, smooth sailing. So you have to be prepared. And don't live haphazardly.
There's an old 100%. Saying that says that man who has not learned history is doomed to repeat it.
That's powerful.
If we don't learn from the past, we will just keep on repeating it. And repeating it. And I do have good news for you. The next time isn't going to be a flood, because he promised it wouldn't be a flood.
Oh, right. Okay. We're waking up.
The bad news is you said it would be fire.
Oh, my goodness.
But thankfully, he's provided a way out. Thankfully, he said, look, I know y'all messed up. Y'all toe up from the flow up. Y'all been messing up since the beginning.
Right.
But I'm going to give you a way out. And he does.
Yes, he does.
Because he loves us.
Yes.
It's kind of cool. What was it, 3 weeks ago now? We celebrated, what a lot of Christians call Easter.
Easter,
I prefer Resurrection Sunday.
Okay.
Because Easter has some pagan baggage with it.
Yes. And it's so capitalistic here in America.
I'm still trying to figure out how in the world you get bunnies to lay eggs. I know a lot of things.
I wonder if people don't think.
I haven't figured that one out.
Well, nobody's. The thing is, a lot of people aren't thinking.
No,
they're just okay. This is what See, I've always been a questioner, even as a kid.
Amen.
And the problem is, we don't question enough. And if it's a fact, it can withstand the question if it's a
yes,
fact.
yes.
So most people are like, okay, my mother was this, my grandmother was this, and they loved me and they told me this was the way. So that's why I followed this. But I questioned everything.
And
I went
I
a lot
did
of different
too.
ways,
I did
went a
too.
lot of different,
Exactly.
I did
studied a
too.
lot of different religions, and why do they do this or why do they think this
Yes.
way? Why? Because I wanted to understand more. You know, certain things made sense to me, and then other things did not make sense to me. So I questioned it. You know, but there was also, I guess, a time when, you know, you were a kid and it was more like you asked a question and it was the response a lot of times was because I said so.
That's
Don't
it,
question
right.
me. So it caused us not to maybe to stop questioning
Yes.
things.
Right.
You
Or
know,
sometimes
because
people got mauled in the
because
head
maybe
or
at a time
spanking.
during that may stem, you know, generation before generation and take us back to slavery. Don't question that. Just do it. And that goes, you know,
Right.
generation after generation. It just becomes a thing. And, it, you know, it's almost like in your essence now. And it's just like, yeah, don't do that, you know.
Yeah.
To stay
Because you
alive.
carry that biology
slave-
with
yes.
you, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to tell you, the hardest thing I have at the churches I serve at, not so much at my current church, but I whenever a new group comes to me or comes with me and I start teaching the Bible to them, I always give them two instructions. The first one is take Acts 17:11, where Paul talks about the Berean church, and he says, be like the Bereans who accepted the gospel with all readiness, but they went home and studied the scriptures to see if it was so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I shorten that to say, if you believe it because I said it and you don't check it out for yourself, you have already failed the class.
Okay. All right.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Okay? If you accept just because the news said
Said it. Right.
if you accept just because the government said it, and actually with our present government, you know, if they say that it's raining, I'm going to actually go open the window and check for
I
myself.
know.
Yeah,
that's
100%. But most of us don't.
But they
like,
don't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They like, well,
Take
why
it
would
for
they be up
granted.
here saying this
Right.
if it wasn't
If it
true?
wasn't true.
Well, because there's an entire agenda put in place
That's
to
the
control
agenda,
people
a
and keep them in
hidden
place.
agenda.
They're humans just like you.
That's
They're
it.
entitled to error just like you.
That's right. Why you have
That's
to
it.
They
check.
make mistakes just like you. They go to the restroom the same way you do.
And
There's no different. But we give these people the power to oversee
Over
us and say
us.
that they are all superior to us.
and we shouldn't
That's why
do-
they're in charge.
That's giving your power away.
And the sad part is our founders understood that.
Yeah.
There's a reason we have 3 houses of government, because they understood that we are all human.
Yeah.
We are all weak. You know, Paul would put it this way, you know, all fall short of the glory.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
You know, and so they put those checks and those balances
Checks and balance.
in place, knowing that there's going to be at least one knucklehead in each branch that thinks he's God.
We have plenty knuckleheads in this.
Okay?
Yeah. 100%.
And so, you know, we as individuals, you know, we've gotten so used to not taking responsibility for ourselves. You know, we go shuffle off to the schoolhouse and we think that we're being educated. No. If you understand the history of education and how our education system came to be,
Study.
our schools are not designed to educate.
It's more of an indoctrination.
You know, understand, our school system is based off of the English school system, which in turn was based off of the Prussian school system. Why did the Prussians have school? They needed military officers who could follow orders. I want to repeat that. They needed military people who could follow orders.
Annapolis.
And they
Yeah.
designed their school system to produce people who could follow orders.
Soldiers. For
The
war.
English school system.
War.
Why did the English create their public school system? Well, they had an empire that went around the world, and they needed clerks who could write reports and send it back to the home office. So what did the English school system do? It taught people how to read and count. Why? So they could write reports,
And count the money.
and send it back home.
Yeah.
The English school system was not designed to educate. It was designed to train the worker bees
Interesting.
to fit into the role that they needed.
Yeah.
And the Americans went, well, that school system looks pretty good. Let's just put a little American spin on it. We'll make it America's school system.
And we'll make more money and have more guns.
And so when you look at our school system, and again, I'm going to be a heretic. I may get excommunicated from the university.
That's fine. Be raw and uncut. That's why we're
telling
here.
the truth.
Here's the dirty little secret about our school system. We've been sold, and I'm going to call it what it is, the lie.
Big lie, like a Donald Trump
That you go to college, you get a good education, so you can get a good job. The first part of the lie is that you get a good education. Because our school system is not designed to educate.
And you should know, you have been involved with it for many years.
I feel half
believe
guilty
you.
because I'm taking their money right now.
Well, that's okay. The truth is the light.
But here's the deal. I'm gonna actually ask you guys what you know about the law.
Yeah.
He knows he's being set up. Yeah. Who is the customer of a university?
The student.
Wrong answer.
Okay.
The parent.
Wrong answer.
The customer of the university.
Who ends up with the product that a university produces? You want to know who the customer is, you got to look at where the product goes. Let's back up.
Okay.
What is the product of a university?
Books?
No.
Curriculum?
In a general sense, no. The product of the university are the people that they graduate.
Right.
Okay.
So remember, if you're a student of the university, you're a product.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to just get brutal and I'm going to put it in industrial terms.
Yeah.
So if the product is the graduates, then the customer is the one who receives the graduates. Those are the people who are doing the hiring, the companies.
Okay. Because once they hire the student, then the student is paying them back for the education.
It's even worse than that. the whole deal is even worse than that.
Break it down for us.
You see, when a student graduates, he goes out and ideally he gets a job. That student is now the end product of the industry that we call college. Okay? The idea of college is to produce something or somebody that can
eligible
be
to go to a university.
Employed.
Okay.
The idea is that when you have your degree, theoretically, you are qualified to be employed in that field. The degree is the certificate of authenticity that this person has been molded to be a worker in that industry.
So many of our industries are changing now, so people with these degrees are jumping off of buildings and committing suicide because they can't find a job after 4 or 6 years of college.
Quite honestly, it's been probably 80 years or so since your degree actually mattered for what you do for a job.
But they're still pushing that big lie, right?
I know very few people that ended up working in the field that their degree was in.
Yeah.
If you look at my college education, I'm a computer slinger at a university. I am just now moving into being a pastor, so we can say my grad school applies to what I'm doing.
Divinity.
But very, very few people end up working in the field that their degree is, unless, of course, they majored in engineering, maybe in chemistry.
Computer science.
If they majored in the hard sciences, then they're probably working in their field. Computer science, I guess if you're going to be some high theoretical computer scientist, for the average person that's going to be a network admin or do security, like I kind of do all of that in my job.
Yeah.
I've taken exactly one.
Okay, but that you work in that field, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can find that out from books. A lot of the information you can teach yourself.
Exactly.
You don't have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
A wise
especially with the computer.
millionaire told me when I was in my 20s, if you will do this one thing consistently for the rest of your life, you will be better educated than a man with a PhD. And it's a very simple thing. Read 15 to 30 minutes a day from a non-fiction book. If you do that consistently over the course of a year, even if you are a slow reader, you'll end up reading 12 books a year. If you're a fast reader, you might read up to 30 books a year. 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Why is that special? Because most people, as soon as they get out of school, stop reading. If they don't have to read for their
Study
job,
habits.
if they don't have to read for the job, it ain't happening.
Yeah. So most people tend to naturally work harder for others than they do themselves.
And here's the funny thing that he said. He said, if you will do that, you will be more valuable to yourself because obviously you become a better balanced person. You become a more knowledgeable person. You become a person that is dangerous to the establishment.
Because your eyes are open.
Exactly. And as a side benefit, you become valuable to whoever you work for if you don't choose to own your own business.
So there's nothing wrong with entrepreneurship. Nothing at all.
And,
There's always something right about that.
A sample of one doesn't prove a point. But here's the funny thing. I do not have a Master of Library Science. I work in a library. That's kind of the degree you get as your door to entry. Because of my reading, because of my education, I make more than most of the librarians I work with. Even though job grade-wise, they're at a higher job grade than me. Why? 2 reasons. I never specialized.
Okay.
Last week we talked about you should be a jack of all trades and a master of one.
That was heavy hit. That was smart.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
We kind of start talking about, quantum mechanics and the black perspective. I had never considered a perspective in quantum mechanics. So I did what my mom taught me to do. I did research. And if there is a black perspective to quantum mechanics, nobody's writing about it.
Okay.
But what I did find is I found that there was a lot of black physicists that, again, we don't get taught about in school. And I would never learn about, remember the difference between schooling and education. I was schooled about a certain scientific history. Preparing for this podcast, I got educated
That's good.
about the reality of black people in physics.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Which, by the way, is totally fascinating.
Oh, Dan, every time it starts getting good, it's time for us to call it to a halt. Well, if anyone, and I'm sure you did, enjoyed our conversation today on Jazz and the Voice of Reason, subscribe to the channel. Tell us you like us. And tune in again to Queen Leanna, Edward Washington, and Daniel Hoyte, because they are going to come back. I'm praying they will, and I'm sure that they will.
Yeah.
Please remember to keep someone smiling. That means you have to be smiling yourself. When you wake up in the morning, take those deep breaths. Before you answer any upsetting questions, take a deep breath and keep God in your life. We're out of here.